Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are live, and it is, yes, you guessed it, another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. And tonight we have another Cup Series race on our custom schedule season as we go to the Lady in Black for the first time this year. First of two races at Darlington. This one will be a 400-mile day race, and then the second one will be a 500-mile night race later in the season. Of course, that would be the crown jewel event, the Southern 500. As far as today's race goes, though, we have a pretty tight points battle right now. Top three in the standings all separated by just 11 points as we have a tie for second between two Roush Fenway teammates of Kurt Busch and Carl Edwards. Each have one win apiece, as does the points leader, who just took over the points lead for the second different time this season. Elliott Sadler's back in the lead after Gordon led for a handful of races. Jeff Gordon ended up with a DNF last night at Kansas, ended up leading the first 75 of the first 80 laps of the race, and then on lap 80 he ended up DNFing with an engine failure after hitting the wall pretty hard after contact, unfortunately, with Greg Biffle battling for the lead. Did not cause a caution. We did only have one yellow last night. It was for a Jimmy Johnson spin in the second half of the race. And so tough day for Hendrick Motorsports there. Gordon drops back a few spots in the standings. He now sits fourth. Greg Biffle, back-to-back wins for him coming into the race today, and back-to-back max points days have now gotten him from 6th in points to 5th in points, but he has really trimmed that margin down between how many points out of first he is, as he has closed in over 100 points in the last two races. So here we go. He's got a shot at the points lead going into today's race, as does really anybody inside the top 6, all within 100 points of the lead. 9 different winners so far this season as well through 20 races. We're going to get this race underway. Dale Jarrett will be on the pole. Greg Biffle qualified 6th, and we're about to start this race at Darlington. Derek Booth, Blub, Ashton Moy, Train Fan rather. Welcome into the stream, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's action. As Greg Biffle quickly gets to the bottom lane. That was a great start to get down in front of the 38 of Sadler. Sadler going to try to cross Biffle over to the outside. That's a great move if he can pull that off. Biffle's going to push hard into turn 3, try to stay underneath the 38. He drove it in really deep. That was an aggressive move for lap 1. Can't quite get him, while Sadler's teammate Dale Jarrett is going to lead the opening lap of the race at the front of the field. After qualifying on the pole, and Brian Vickers is up to 2nd after qualifying 3rd. Edwards slides in line at 4th, right underneath Tony Stewart off of turn 2 for 3rd place, and Biffle trying to challenge on the 38 of Elliott Sadler as well. 293 laps for the 400 miles today. Edwards back up to 3rd as he gets by Tony Stewart. I want to talk about a sketchy place to try and pass. Daytime at Darlington, this track is going to be pretty slick. It's a very rough and bumpy racetrack. Going to be a lot of tire wear today as well. Patrick Chatterley, thanks for tuning in. Mark DeMar is also welcome into the stream. Stewart trying to get back around Edwards as Edwards almost got into the wall off turn 4. May have brushed it just a hair. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, even though you're busy tonight, Patrick. Biffle gets by Carl Edwards, then Brian Vickers, who was also stuck on the outside after Stewart and Sadler got by him. Biffle on the inside of the 25 for 4th. It's so hard to keep it off the car on the outside when there's side-by-side racing going into these tight corners at Darlington. Biffle doing a good job keeping it off the 25 right now. And finally completes the pass at turns 3 and 4. Vickers was holding on strong on the outside. Biffle up 2 spots from the start of the race now, both on that last lap. And how about Elliott Sadler trying to get up there with his teammate Dale Jarrett as he gets to the inside of Stewart for 2nd. Big run for Biffle on the backstretch, but nowhere to go with the cars side by side right in front of him. Biffle all the way on the apron, pretty much through 1 and 2. So he gets to the inside of Elliott Sadler. Can't stay underneath him, though, into turns 3 and 4. Sadler up on the outside groove. Gave Biffle a lot of room to make that corner into turns 3 and 4. Sadler wasn't more aggressive with it, knowing it's only lap 7 of the race. Biffle with the slide job going into turns 1 and 2, and he'll slide clear of Elliott Sadler up the racetrack for third. Slowly picking him off. Dale Jarrett's led the first 7. Tony Stewart right in line behind him for the race lead. Trying to get underneath the 20 of Tony Stewart as he just wedges himself there. And now he's side by side off turn 2 for second. Trying to keep it off Stewart heavily on the brakes. Tony all the way towards that wall, didn't actually get into it. And Biffle's clear off the exit of turn 4 for second. It's Sadler now to the inside of Stewart, but Stewart with the block, in fact, into turn 1 to hold on to third. It's Dale Jarrett, Greg Biffle, 1-2 at the front of the field off turn 2 on lap 10. It was a little bit too low of a dive, though, by Biffle, and Stewart's going to get back around him. Biffle quickly cuts off the 38 of Elliott Sadler. Way too low that time for Biffle to hold on with any sort of grip off the exit of turn 4 as his car got pretty sideways. Had to give up the spot. Dale Jarrett almost bounced into the wall off turn 4, and Tony Stewart's got a big surge of momentum. I think Jarrett might have lifted. Keep it off the wall, off the exit of the corner. Now Biffle's going to have to try to get right back around the 20. Remember, Stewart was running in second place late and actually running down Greg Biffle along with Carl Edwards late in that race at Kansas, but blew an engine while getting just within a second off the lead with just 7 laps to go. So he ended up with a not-so-good finish, ended up 37th. He was last of the 7 cars that DNF'd, or first, I guess, of the 7 cars that DNF'd, but a tough break for Stewart nonetheless, and he lost a lot of points. Ended up falling back to 9th in the standings as a result, and over a race worth of points out at first, even though he was not all that far out of the points lead going into the race last night. Golly Bush fan, hashtag road to 50, hashtag thanks for tuning in. Davion West also welcome. Michael Turner, one of the usual cast, and others as well, watching in the early going of this race tonight. Jarrett going quite a bit wide off turn 4. Tony Stewart got a much better exit to the corner. Stewart's trying to go underneath Dale Jarrett into turn 1, but he's not going to get there. Tough to pass the leader. At Darlington, nobody's been able to do it despite Stewart Biffle being really close. Especially over the last handful of laps, maybe even a little more than that. And even Elliott Sadler is somewhat holding in. Also within a second of the lead. Biffle going low off turn 4. Pretty good corner. Underneath Tony Stewart on the front straightaway and down into turn 1 side by side. Stewart carries that momentum on the outside though and holds clear in the middle of the corner. Biffle again gets off turn 4 really well. Oh, not well enough. Little contact with Stewart on the front stretch as he went up to try and side draft him. He accidentally got into him. Let the 20 car go for a little bit longer. So close to that wall off turn 2 that time. Entry was a little too sharp in after the contact with Stewart in the middle of the front straightaway. check both cars up a bit, but Biffle a little more than Stewart. Biffle trying to go for 3 wins in a row tonight. The third time this season. This time in 1 and 2 he gets underneath Stewart. Got a car blowing up on the inside of the racetrack, and it looks like Jeff Burton in the 31 car will be the first to exit tonight's race. So Jeff Burton is blowing an engine as he tries to get to pit road right now. Dale Jarrett still leads through 18 laps. Biffle back to second for the second time. Trying to get by the 88. Can he do it? Oh, low contact. Jarrett holding on to the lead. This guy's got to be careful. Definitely going at it early. Biffle pulling out of line again into turns 1 and 2. We're going to try to get a run off the top through 3 and 4. Kind of diming the corner off. Sailed it a bit wide. Got back in the gas a bit too soon, though. That doesn't really work either. Wade Slinsky, thanks for tuning in. Well, there's definitely been pressure from the get-go on Dale Jarrett. But it has been very tough to get around him as nobody's been able to do so yet. Greg Biffle with a very low entrance into the corner. Pulls alongside Jarrett, but does he have the momentum down the back straightaway to hang on with him? No, he does not. So he pulls back in line behind him, tries to widen that arc off just a little bit more into turns 3 and 4, but Jarrett hooks the bottom perfectly as well. Seems like every now and then Biffle gets off the corner initially better, but Jarrett seems to have a tad bit more straightaway speed, mainly because he is running a little bit higher of a line than Biffle, so he's able to get the run off the progressive banking towards the outside of the racetrack. Biffle's so close to be able to side draft him, but not quite. Got a good little battle for the lead, and again, Biffle a little too low in the middle of the corner, and Tony Stewart tries to force his way to the outside. Biffle and Stewart still side by side for second as they don't want to give up. Stewart almost had an opportunity to get by Biffle, but Biffle holds on to second barely. Second time he was a little too low off the exit of turn 4. Both times he was trying to make a pass for position. A little risky with it in the first 25 laps. Biffle overdriving 3. He's got to earn his first Darlington stripe of the race. That's going to drop him back to 3rd. Stewart's going to get by Greg Biffle that time. Biffle got into the wall on entry into turn 3. Probably won't be the final Darlington stripe of the night, but it's definitely the first one. Rainer Martinez, JoJo, thanks for tuning in. I like him at all, but not that much. I don't know. We've had that saying before in the chat, and put it to use in the thumbnail. And I thought Mark Martin's Viagra paint scheme was perfect in the background, so. Dark Crypto, Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, thanks for tuning in also. Biffle gets by Tony Stewart for second. There's no problem getting by anybody in the field other than Dale Jarrett. This going to make pit stops so important today. Both under green and caution conditions, just to see who could cycle out in front of the 88. CSX 372 Railfan Productions. Turkey, thanks for tuning in. It's a turkey part for Thanksgiving. Man, almost overdrove turn 1 again. I mean, it was 3 and 4 where he got in the wall earlier, but he was able to catch the car quick enough. Obviously, had to get on the brakes a little bit more in the middle of the corner, but he didn't lock the brakes, which would have slid the front tires. And then he definitely would have hit the wall. He was just kind of gradually easing on the brakes as his car was slowly going up the track, and he was able to catch it. Track is difficult to race by itself lap after lap, especially on these EA games, but when you're trying to make passes and battle for the lead, as Greg Biffle has done off and on throughout this race already, makes it even that much more difficult. Trying to find a way under Jarrett. Strong corner through 3 and 4. Closes in. He's going to try to keep the inside down into turn 1. Jarrett all the way up on the outside. I mean, he carried a lot of speed into that corner, and he actually got it to stick up on the outside. Carries the momentum up off the exit of the corner as well. Probably say off the exit of turn 4 is where Biffle seems to be at his best. He's not going too low, at least. He's made a couple, at least minor mistakes. Trying to force Jarrett into an issue. Side by side again. A lot closer bumper to bumper, though, with the front of their cars aligned. Into turn 3, gets up into Jarrett, and Jarrett scrapes the wall. Jarrett carries so much speed on entrance to the corner, and that's why it's so hard for Greg Biffle to get underneath him. Biffle really tried to carry a lot there and almost turned Dale Jarrett. That stacked him up a bit. Tony Stewart's starting to reel himself back in. More of these two battle. Billy Kramer, thanks for watching. Laggy. Not sure why. Oh, it is like that. Let me try to fix that real quick. Not sure why it's laggy. I mean, that might be a little better. Let me know if, helps. Hopefully you're able to bear with me there. Tried to fix that as soon as I could. I just closed out OBS and opened it back up again real quick. With a little wide on entry into turns 3 and 4 that time. Tony Stewart closing in. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Should be a fun trip over the next dozen laps. It's starting to do that again. I don't know why it's... kind of does it every now and then. I guess we'll just have to kind of bear with it. It's not the internet. Something with OBS. Ashton G, thanks for tuning in tonight also. Pinning his car down to the bottom off turn 4. Big block by Dale Jarrett. He really took Biffle's line away there. Wasn't expecting him to chop down off the exit of the corner like that. Biffle chatters the tires a bit getting into turn 1. He really came off the wall quite a bit that time. Biffle kept his car tight down on the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get underneath Dale Jarrett. Jarrett timed the block perfectly. What can Brown do for you? Well, he can start by getting out of the way. Door to door off turn 2 for the lead again. Jarrett carries the speed on the back straightaway. Biffle pulls back in line behind him into turns 3 and 4. Biffle going low off the exit of the corner. Can't quite hang with him. It's just a great battle going on right now. Dale Jarrett's going to be tough to beat tonight. And these two racing each other with about as much respect as you can with how hard they're racing each other. Especially at this difficult of a racetrack. And halfway through the fuel run, Biffle squeezes down low underneath Jarrett, middle of 1 and 2. Trying to side draft him. But the contact stalled out the run. They're able to keep control because at least they made contact in the middle of the straightaway, even though it was in a dangerous spot. Biffle gets loose, had to overcorrect the race car. He get out of the gas because he felt that he might have overcorrected it and had to let Dale Jarrett go. And now down into turn 3, overdrives the corner and almost earned a second Darlington stripe. What a battle for the lead. This is fun. This is some fun racing tonight. Another thing to keep an eye on today is the cautions. We only had one caution last night at Kansas, and then the night before at Las Vegas we went caution-free on those 2.5-mile racetracks. This is more like 1.3 miles in length, so a little shorter of a racetrack, but still considered intermediate. Well, it races like a short track with its narrow confines. Really reeled Dale Jarrett in big time that last lap. It gets to the inside of Jarrett off of turn 4. Jarrett leads that lap again at the line at 28.449. Fastest lap of the race for Biffle. And again he has to give Jarrett the room. Jarrett really crowded him though going into turn 1. And Biffle desperately just trying to keep it off of the 88. And keep from wrecking. The way these guys are racing right now, they're not going to be able to make it all 400 miles. The way they've gone about business thus far. This car's definitely loosening up over the long run, too. Feels that way, at least. Pretty good lap by Biffle. 28.383, in fact, his fastest of the race again. And again, he kind of chattered the tires going down into turn 1. Can't keep the momentum up in the middle of the corner. A little loose off turn 4. We'll go back to the far chase cam for now. An enticing battle for the race lead. Again, Biffle down low. Gonna try to side draft him without making contact this time. Is it enough to stay to the bottom? He got loose. Entered in a bit too deep into the corner. And again has to let the 88 go before he almost wrecks him. Biffle driving the wheels off this thing just to keep up with Jarrett. Got to stick that time as low as he drove it into the corner. Yeah, I don't know if I can really do much about it other than restarting my laptop. But if I do that, I'll probably lose the stream, so I don't want to risk that. Into turns 3 and 4. Greg Biffle on the inside of Dale Jarrett. Man, if Jarrett just brushes the wall, that's all it's going to take for Biffle to get to the lead. But Jarrett is so precise on that outside lane. I wouldn't trust Biffle's going to be that precise if he's ever on the outside. Dale Jarrett is just, I mean, he is perfect right now through 51 laps. He's on top in the corner quite a bit as well with the car underneath him. Everybody lacking for grip. See those right side tires really wearing out on the 16. Final quarter of a tank of gas. In this opening fuel run, Biffle underneath Jarrett, door to door, back straightaway. Trying to stay with him into turn 3. He does, and that might be the opportunity. Can he clear off turn 4? He does. Finally, Greg Biffle works his way around Dale Jarrett at lap 52. That'll be 5 bonus points for Biffle. Now can Jarrett get him back? What a clutch moment that was early in this race. Joji, thanks for tuning in. .433 that last lap. Biffle way too low on entry into turn 1. Gotta stop doing that. Slowly starting to slip away from Jarrett until that happened. Jarrett's all over him again. Jarrett overdrives the entry into turn 3. Goes a bit wide. Kept it off the wall. Loses a bit more time to Biffle, though. Biffle back out to a 3/10 of a second lead at the start-finish line at lap 55. Kevin Beeler, thanks for tuning in. I mean, I can try restarting my laptop, but I mean, I know that obviously the stream's gonna stop for a couple minutes. If you guys want me to try it, I will. That's what I meant by I'll lose the stream. I mean, it's gonna be paused until I go back onto YouTube. I'll probably wait till we get to the first pit stop, though, if I do that. I don't feel comfortable pausing it on old tires. Then unpausing it, I'll probably wreck. Craig Franklin, thanks for tuning in. 6 to 12 inches of snow in Michigan, man. Is the audio choppy too, or is it just the visual? Kind of curious. It's like it's choppy at times. It's not like consistent from what it looks like. Audio's fine. I might not have to restart. There's another thing I want to try. I want to try just opening up the video capture device another time. A different one. A lot of cars on pit road right now as Dale Jarrett and Greg Biffle continue to stay out of the pits. Notice Tony Stewart and Elliott Sadler, who are running 3rd and 4th, have already hit pit road. Be interested to see exactly where they'll cycle. Greg Biffle staying on the racetrack just in case we get a caution in the middle of green flag stops. Where's Mark Martin? Not sure. I haven't done a field pass yet today. I'll do that during our second field stunt. The first one, at least. So getting really loose at this point in the run. Not really pulling away from Dale Jarrett. Jarrett definitely still there. Gonna watch the lap cars coming out of the pits. Down on the bottom of the racetrack. Biffle gonna pull up right in front of Ricky Rudd. Right behind Casey Mears. He kind of blended in pretty well. Carl Edwards on his way into the pits, and Rudd now starting to hold up Dale Jarrett a little bit. Some fresher tires. It's going to be tough for the 88 to get around him. Jarrett's definitely getting held up. Pretty low on fuel at this point in the run. Biffle's going to go to lap 65 and then he'll pit. Jarrett stays out, finally gets around Ricky Rudd. Casey Mears, Shane Meal right in front of Biffle. There's Jeff Gordon in the 24 car down on the bottom of the track. Biffle's going to be in front of him. Caution came out. Gordon would actually be 2 laps down. Not a good start for the 24 right now. Didn't qualify too well. In the running order, trying to rebound after a DNF and losing the points lead last night at Kansas. Every Roush car is in the pits right now except for Greg Biffle. In fact, I believe Mark Martin and Carl Edwards are leaving the pit lane. Biffle will stay out this time by, and then he'll pit the following lap. And I think Dale Jarrett just pit that last lap. Biffle to the inside of the 41 car. Casey Mears might be getting held up by the 08 of Shane Meal just a bit. And even though Biffle's on older tires, let's get to the inside of 41. Maybe 1 and 2. Biffle will pit this time by. I did not practice, so this will be the first pit stop attempt. This is a very difficult pit road to get onto. Biffle going to try to get there without any mistakes. Back in the car way up. And that's a pretty good pit entry if I say so myself. For Greg Biffle. 4 tires and fuel. No adjustments during the first stop of the race for the 16 team. Once we get this pit stop in, I'll pause it. Pause it and try to get the, oh, looks like a mistake potentially on pit road. Right front tire about got away. A little extra time for the tire carrier to get over there. And that's going to make for a pretty lengthy stop. 16.7 seconds for Biffle on that green flag stop for the 16 team. Yeah, it is kind of slow. Now I'll figure it out. There we go. Okay. I didn't realize the sound wasn't there. Cut the sound out, I guess, when I restarted it. Well, while I have it paused, I might as well get the point standings back on there. Oh, jeez. I know Sadler, if I could spell correctly. Obviously, was the points leader. Jesus. Restart everything. I'm getting like a bunch of notifications everywhere. Yeah, I'll have to go back through the stream and try to find the point standings. The answer is olive oil? What? I missed something. I have no clue what you're talking about. See, Jarrett's. I believe there we go. We've got it. Everything's okay in the chat. Thank you for bearing with me. The lag is gone. We've got the point standings back on the top of the screen. We should be good to go now. Alright, let's get back into the race. Sorry for pausing it so many times on you guys. Trying to get to the bottom of that. I didn't realize I had a software update. No wonder it was laggy. Should be good to go now. Sound cut out too. Sound should be back now as well. Let me know if everything is A-OK down in the chat. Audio, visual, the text, make sure nothing's laggy. I mean, I guess if the text is laggy, that's like the least of my worries at this point. Again, just following green flag pit stops, Tony Stewart has cycled to the lead. Biffle pit at lap 65. Had a slow stop, which costed him the lead. Plus, he pitted a little bit later than everybody else as well. There's a mistake with the right front tire carrier as he kind of had that right front tire roll away from him just a little bit. Took him a little extra time to go around his usual stop and able to get that back. Corey Freed, also welcome into the stream. I don't think I shouted you out since I didn't realize there was any sound. No lap traffic yet today, despite getting through green flag pit stops and on a track that's a little shorter than 1.5 miles in length. We're closing in on Elliott Sadler in a battle for third. As the Chevrolet of Tony Stewart leads 3 Fords, 2 for Robert Yates Racing, 1 for Roush Fenway Racing. It's tough for Biffle to get by Dale Jarrett earlier. He was able to get by Elliott Sadler earlier fairly decently. We'll see if he can get around him this time. There's no adjustments made during that first pit stop for the 16 crew as well. Ashley Moy, thanks for tuning back in. I think we had about 24 people watching there before the we cut the stream out. Hopefully everybody comes back. I warned that I was going to do it. It was going to take a few minutes, and then everybody left anyway. Not everybody. Most people left. I mean, it's just hard to pass anybody today. Biffle trying to get around Elliott Sadler. He's not really able to do it. The pace is still there, though, for the 38 and the 16. Biffle with the deep dive, getting into the corner. Can't quite get underneath the 38, though. And Biffle now alongside Sadler in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Clears him barely off the exit of the corner. Took him a few tries. He will get around Elliott Sadler for third finally. And the guy he had troubles passing earlier, Dale Jarrett, took him 52 laps to get to the lead. See if he can get by him this time. He led all 13 laps after getting around him before he pitted. It might just be the clean air, though. Outside of just Jarrett's car. We'll have to wait and see. Hasn't really closed in, though, on Tony Stewart at all. But he's maintaining ground, it appears. Rare to see the race in the, Darlington in the day? It does. I know people have been mentioning it. It kind of seems like a rain race. It may seem that way. Biffle trying to get underneath Dale Jarrett in the 88, unable to do so. These guys only 0.6 of a second off the race lead. Took Biffle so long to get by Jarrett earlier. Jarrett trying to put up a fight again. Biffle pretty good in the middle of the corner. Gets off turn 4, side by side. On the front straightaway. And now into turn 1, still side by side between Biffle and Jarrett. Deep dive going into the corner. Biffle slides up a bit. Keeping it off the 88, though. Jarrett side drafted Biffle a little bit, though, off turn 2. And they're still door to door. And Biffle couldn't hang on to the bottom that time. Entered in a bit too deep. Gets back to the throttle quicker than Jarrett, though, who hiccuped as well in the middle of the corner as they almost come together off turn 4. What a battle. Biffle with the slide job now going into the corner. And he'll slide up clear off of turn 2. But Jarrett gets the run, and he's trying to get back after him on the straightaway into 3 again. And Tony Stewart's got a gaggle of lap cars right in front of him. Biffle holds clear on Jarrett off turn 4. I'll tell you what, Dale Jarrett and Craig Biffle have really fought each other quite a bit today. And look at Tony Stewart in the eye of the storm of the lap traffic. He's got 4 cars around him. He passed 2, and then he's got 2 of them side by side in front of him, and it's a chance now for Biffle and Jarrett to close in on smoke. Kenny Schrader and Scott Wimmer, the 2 cars side by side in front of him. Stewart gets tight, almost into the wall off turn 4. And Biffle's coming in pretty quickly. Couple fantasy drivers right in front of the Biff. It's hard to pass anybody. Everybody's having troubles passing everybody. Even Stewart trying to get by the lap cars. Biffle quickly to the inside of Wimmer after he was stuck up high with the 143 getting by him. Stewart still trying to get by the 49 of Kenny Schrader into turns 1 and 2. Greg Biffle gets by the 143 quickly to the inside of Schrader. Stewart finally got underneath the 49, so it's going to allow Biffle to get by the 49 much quicker. Really, all 4 cars collectively quicker than Stewart had gotten by him. Deep dive into 3 by Biffle as he closes into Stewart. And off turn 4, he's side by side for the race lead. These are the first laps Tony Stewart has led today. Side by side into turn 1. Door to door. And Biffle is clear off the exit of the corner and back in the lead for the second different time in the race. Take our first field pass of the race now. We'll go back to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. He is in 9th place right now in a big battle really between Ryan Newman, Kevin Harvick, Rusty Wallace, and Brian Vickers, but he had a big loose moment off turn 4. Caught the race car. Newman checked up, and Mike Bliss will get around him now through 1 and 2. Kurt Busch also just behind trying to follow. Kenseth trying to catch up to the 3 cars that are right in front of him. Harvick trying to get by Rusty Wallace for position as well. Side by side through 1 and 2. Again into 3 and 4. Matt Kenseth really down low. Quickly gets by Rusty Wallace following the 29 and quickly gets to the inside of Harvick as well. 28.380 that last lap for Matt Kenseth. Fastest lap for himself today. Gets underneath Brian Vickers in the 25 now. Quickly battling for 6th. Clears him into turn 3. Kenseth quickly got by those 3 cars. Quicker than probably we've seen anybody pass anybody in this race. Still 10.3 seconds off the race lead. Not sure where Kenseth started. Definitely further back than Biffle, who's been towards the front of the field all day. And Biffle qualified in 6th. It's the highest qualifying Roush Fenway Ford. Ace of Spades, thanks for tuning in. Imagine if online was still supported. Oh, jeez. Well, we'd be doing streams, I'll tell you that much. Some online lobbies for sure. We'll go to Kurt Busch in the 97, who was in 11th place, just a few spots behind Kenseth. We'll try to get Kurt in the top 10. He's got Mike Bliss to pass next. Vickers has been passed recently by Harvick and Wallace. had a software update, so I updated the software. Had the stream stop for about 5 minutes or so. But we're good to go now. I didn't get any notifications about it, like at all. The last couple hours I was on my laptop before the stream started. Looks like there are 2 cars out of the race right now. We know Jeff Burton's one of them. Busch down on the bottom of the track, getting a little bit loose. Mike Bliss going to try to challenge back to the outside. Kurt going to stay in front of Bliss on the back straightaway. Mike Bliss has 15 top 10s this season coming in. Finished 13th, though, last night at Kansas. Biffle to the inside of Brian Vickers off turn 4. Busch got to clear Vickers for 9th. Kenseth almost in the wall off turn 2 as Harvick's got a big run on him going into 3. Busch to the inside of Rusty Wallace. And now underneath Kevin Harvick off turn 4. We'll go back to Mark Martin in the 6th car. And actually, Martin's a little further up ahead. Oh, no, never mind. He's a lap down. I don't know why it went that way. That was strange. I was like, oh, maybe he's in the top 5. Psych. Mark Martin in 24th right now. Lap 93. Still a couple hundred laps to go. As long as he finishes this race, he'll be better than what he was the last 2 races. Back-to-back DNFs on engine failures for Martin at Las Vegas and Kansas. I've dropped him outside the top 15 in points. 16th coming in. He was 12th just a few races ago. Matt Galligan, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Vickers qualified 3rd, so he's kind of slowly slipping back. Pace he's running right now, he's going to have to pick it up and he's going to get a top 10. Yeah, Rusty Wallace only has 1 top 5 on the season. Martin gaining a couple spots to 20th. And he's not going to be gaining any more while we drive as him because he's got quite a ways until the next car. I do like the paint scheme, though, of the Pfizer cars that Mark Martin had. Even the one on the thumbnail with the Viagra car. Especially that white and blue one, though. The white with the powder blue, it pops really well. Just like you know what pops well when you use Viagra. I had to slide that in there. It popped in my head there at the last second, so try to cram it in. It is a good paint scheme, though. That joke was a little forced. Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in. Well, you missed all the technical difficulties, so that's good. But we've had great racing so far today. Greg Biffle out in front of the field right now. We'll go to Carl Edwards in the 99 car. He is in 5th. The only non-Roush Fenway Ford, or the only Roush Fenway Ford that isn't in the top 10 is Mark Martin in 20th. Carl Edwards about 4 seconds off the race lead right now. One, 2, 3 finish also at Kansas last night for Roush Fenway Racing, with Biffle not only getting the win in the max points day, but Edwards finishing 2nd, leading over 70 laps himself. Kurt Busch led a couple laps, finished 3rd. 5 more races till the regular season finale. If you're talking about for our season, we actually don't have a playoff or chase format for this season. It's a straight up season-long points format. One more lap with Edwards, and then we'll transfer back to Greg Biffle. A lot of lap traffic up ahead. My goodness. Edwards closing in on Elliott Sadler in 4th. Got a lap car of Scott Riggs between these two. I think Biffle's actually gotten most of the way through that lap traffic. Surprised he's able to hold on to the lead through it, because there are a ton of cars up here. That is difficult of lap traffic as you can get at a tight racetrack like Darlington. Biffle still got 4 cars in front of him, though. 4/10 of a second lead over Tony Stewart. Wedges himself under Kyle Busch. A little over 100 laps in. Biffle to the inside of Casey Kane. John Andretti, Jamie McMurray right there. Clear Andretti outright into turn 3. Trying to get underneath the 42 of Jamie Mack. And he'll be able to. Biffle clears McMurray. So Jamie McMurray, the first car, 1 lap down. Quite a few lap cars over the last handful of laps. Biffle's got a lot of clean air in front of him now. Almost allowed the 42 to get back underneath him again. And Tony Stewart's starting to struggle to get through the lap cars all of a sudden, and Biffle's out to a 9/10 of a second lead. Pretty good race, though, so far. .450. Biffle slowly getting away. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the second and final time in today's race for about the next dozen laps. Probably going to be seeing some cars hit pit road for green flag pit stops. I'd probably say the next 10 to 15 laps we'll start seeing cars pit. Biffle going to go 65 laps again will be the plan. Maybe he can go a few more even than that. But at least going to go 65. So he's not looking to pit until at least lap 30. 130. Definitely taking care of his tires quite a bit better this run than the last run. Still a little loose at this point in the run, but not nearly as bad as what it was last time. That's even with all the heavy lap traffic he had to deal with there moments ago. The only lap car right now between Biffle and Stewart is Jamie McMurray. Stewart could just get around him. Gonna have a pretty good opportunity to try to run down the 16. hit halfway at lap 103. Yeah, I didn't realize exactly what lap I hit halfway. If we go 76 laps, that'd be unreal. Tony Stewart slowly closing in after he got around the 42. Finally has some clean air to work with. A couple more lap cars just up ahead. So Jason Leffler and Ricky Rudd. 21 and 11. Rudd in the 11, Leffler in the... Sorry, Rudd in the 21, Leffler in the 11. And there's a couple cars just in front of them that are already a lap down, which would be Casey Mears and Shane Meal. For sure they were some of the first cars to lose a lap earlier in the race. Biffle to the inside of Leffler. They'll be side by side on the back straightaway into turn 3. Biffle will get by the 11. Quickly get to the inside of the 21 as well. Trying to, at least. I believe he's there on him. And he's going to be clear in the middle of the corner, so he'll slide up. And Leffler going to follow Biffle to get by the 21 car, so he's going to try to stay in that free pass position. With that being the case. Greg Biffle will contact with Shane Meal. Off of turn 2. Biffle just starting to pull away from Tony Stewart again, too. Oh, you're right. I think you're right. Shane Meal, AK. That was the last time I saw him. I was thinking. That's a good point. So I guess Shane Meal would be in the free pass position then, if that is the case. Until Biffle gets by the 41. Well, never mind. Casey Mears is going to pit this time. He'll be one of the first cars into the pits for our second wave of green flag stops. Quarter tank of gas left at lap 120 in the run now for Greg Biffle. Tony Stewart was one of the first cars to pit the last time. And as a result of being one of the first cars to pit the last time, he was able to cycle into the lead. He's a little bit further behind Greg Biffle this time, so we'll see exactly if he can cycle into the lead again. And plus, Greg Biffle had a slow pit stop with his pit crew also. Gonna try not to do that again. Try to have a clean stop the second time. Mark Martin is in. Matthew Dorda Bruno. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, no cautions so far. We have not had many cautions over the last couple races. Last two races and then the start of this one. One caution combined. Over 800 miles worth of racing between last night at Kansas and the night before at Las Vegas. And the first probably 150 to 200 miles of this race. All in intermediate racetracks. And this one the most challenging of them, and this is still caution-free. The only caution last night at Kansas came at lap 147 of 267, so it came in the second half of the race with about 120 to go. They're easily able to pit under the caution and make it within one more stop after that. So kind of a straight strategy so far. Just go as far as you could really possibly push it. Fuel and tires. Hopefully managing his tires a bit better this run, as well as the fuel. He's definitely going to be pushing it a little bit further on both. Distance-wise. Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch in the pits. Yeah, I'm still doing truck and Busch series. Just a lot of cup races between last week, this week, next week. I'll have some double headers planned for the Busch series races, so we'll get caught up eventually. In the truck series, I think we only have 12 or 13 races left. So that season's just much shorter. Still on a good pace. Caution for the first time during green flag pit stops at lap 126. There's going to be a lot of cars trapped a lap down with this yellow. Contact between Martin Truex Jr. and Jamie McMurray in 3 and 4. McMurray slams. Oh my gosh. Slammed hard into the rear. I should say backed into the wall pretty hard and then gets slammed by Elliott Sadler in the right side door, and upside down goes Jamie McMurray on his lid. Ouch. Our first caution was a big caution as far as car count and just the vicious hits that McMurray took. First into the wall and then second by Sadler in the right side door. And there's going to be quite a few cars with a lot of damage because they ended up smacking into the rear of Sadler's car. A few cars did. That couldn't miss as well. McMurray came to a dead stop after he reared his car into the outside wall. There were still cars that hadn't pit. And those will be really the only ones on the lead lap. Like I said, there won't be many. Yeah, Stewart's going to be a lap down. Not sure exactly how many other cars are going to be a lap down. Truex wins the race off pit road. Looks like Edwards is on the lead lap. I just saw him on the screen. There were cars on pit road when the caution came out. Those will be the drivers cycling to the lead. Only Truex, Biffle, and Edwards pit. Green flag back in the air. Tony Stewart will be the leader on the restart, so I guess he was not a lap down. He was on pit road when the caution came out, but didn't go a lap down yet. Oh, back in traffic. First caution of the race. Just gets by the 77. I'd imagine we're going to be seeing some debris cautions. There's no way Jamie McMurray is still in the race after that. I would highly doubt it. And if he is, we'll be seeing a debris caution or two from him. Flipped goes to the hospital. Broken shoulder, yeah. Broken everything. He's in a body cast. 3 wide at Darlington. And a little contact with it. Truex has sandwiched between the 48 and the 16. I don't know how they didn't lose more control there. Gotta figure they weren't going to get through there cleanly once they were 3-piece. Biffle's in fifth. There's just so many lap cars in between himself and the leaders. And McMurray is still in this race. That is insane. I thought I saw a man die, and he's still running. Obviously not on the lead lap. He was a lap down before that wreck. Three wide. At least Casey Kane thought about going 3 wide up the middle. Between Brian Vickers, Greg Biffle. It's a good thing he didn't. Biffle quickly to the inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Biffle passing cars better now than ever before in the race. A lot of them slower, being a lap down anyway, but even still. We'll contact off turn 2. I don't know who got together there, but they kind of caused a stack up. Contact up towards the, I should say 3 wide. Biffle trying to give as much room to Casey Mears and Ryan Newman with them being 3 wide as possible. Lifted quite a bit out of more of a safety precaution there than anything else. Yeah, definitely pitted earlier. Ryan Newman, Kurt Busch up towards the outside. A little contact between the 2 cars on the outside of Biffle's. They were 3 wide. Everybody hangs on to it. Biffle fades to the bottom with no contact. Only the 97 and the 12 got together there. Both those cars a lap down. To the inside of Mark Martin. Mark is a lap down. Kenseth's a lap down. Wonder if there's even any Roush cars in the lead lap. Big dive by Biffle, gets into Harvick. And up into the wall as he couldn't get off of him. Harvick was for a position too. Made contact in the middle of the corner and then they couldn't get off one another. And Harvick was kind of stuck hoping the 16 would get off of him and he couldn't do it. Yeah, so tomorrow's watch-along stream, we'll be rewatching the 1998 Daytona 500 on the channel for a Throwback Thursday live stream, just like we did with the 2006 Daytona 500 last weekend. Very historic race. Sure, many of us know the winner of that race, but still don't spoil it tomorrow. Biffle just ran his fastest lap there, 28.253. So he got to the inside of Mark Martin. He'll clear him off turn 2 as well. Ever watch Paramount? No, I don't have Paramount Plus. Going up to try and side draft Kenseth, pulls away from him quickly on the front stretch. Drives it deep into turn 1, it clears to 17. Yeah, and I've never actually watched that race before. It was before I was born, and I mean, I never went back and rewatched it, so it'll be a fun time. I mean, I know who won. I know how the finish happened. I don't know anything else that happened in the race. At least with those 6, I was kind of remembering bits and pieces as the race went on. that I just forgotten about over time. And this one, I have no clue what happened throughout the race. Yeah, so, I mean, you were way too young to remember that then. And if you say you remembered it, I think you're lying. Contact between Borisset and Greg Biffle in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Biffle clears Gordon. Jeff Gordon a lap down. That is not what he needed. Biffle to the inside of Rusty Wallace in the deuce. And Rusty is a lap down in the free pass position, holding off Gordon for right now. Wallace was in the top 10 earlier. Not sure exactly how many cars are on the lead lap. Biffle could not get around Dale Jarrett that time off turn 4. Blocks the 2 on the front straightaway into turn 1. Looks like Elliott Sadler keeping up with Tony Stewart at the front of the field. Dale Jarrett's been so hard to pass for Greg Biffle all day, and that seems to be the case again as they battle for third now. They've battled for second, they've battled for the lead for a long time, and now they're battling for third. And Biffle will clear Dale Jarrett for third place. Probably the quickest of the 3 times he had gotten around him when battling Jarrett for position. Jarrett dominated the start of the race. For qualifying on the pole. He's still in 4th, though. He's been in the top 5 all day. 8 or 9 cars on the lead lap. Yeah, that's all because of that caution that we saw. Little after lap 120. The fact that Elliott Sadler is still in 2nd place after creaming Jamie McMurray after he had wrecked with Truex. The fact that McMurray's still in the race and the fact that Sadler, as hard of a hit as he had, is still in 2nd and challenging as closely to the lead as he is with Tony Stewart is incredible of its own self. If I'm not mistaken, I think Elliott Sadler does have a career win at Darlington, so definitely knows that this is a winnable racetrack for him. I think it was with the Wood brothers. Could be wrong. It might... No. He had a win or 2 with them. Either way, though, he's had a good race today. I had some guy at my work telling me that he used to watch NASCAR and he was at that race. He was at the 97 and the 98 500. Said he videotaped the end of it. It has the well, I don't want to really spoil it. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it. Even though we know what happened, but he's got the end of it on VHS. Both the aftermath of the race and I guess the finish itself. That's some footage I'd like to see. Hear what the crowd actually sounded like from that perspective. Santiago Kid, thanks for tuning in. Greg Biffle slowly running down the top 2. We started right around 7th and 9th towards the back end of the lead lap. Had a few cars that were still on the lead lap cycle out in front of Biffle because they were on pit road when the caution came out. That's how Tony Stewart and Elliott Sadler are out in front, even though Sadler was involved in the accident. Greg Biffle doing a good job slowly closing in on the top two. We are a little bit past the halfway point in tonight's race, so we'll get that trivia question out to you at some point in time. And this one, we'll wait a little bit longer. It means we had to pause it quite a few times. I'll have to pause it again to find the trivia question. Try to remind me around 100 to go if I don't get a chance to pause it before that. Watching NASCAR, I think, since '99. Yeah, so you probably wouldn't have seen it live then, too. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Fun for younger fans to watch it that haven't watched it before, and older fans to revisit the memory. That was that special day. 28.207, that last lap for Greg Biffle, his fastest lap of the race. Sadler gets a good run off turn 2, though, as well, as he looks to the inside of Stewart. Couldn't get underneath the 20. Had to check up when Stewart threw the block, and Greg Biffle going to get around the 38 as quickly as he did. He's clear. Doesn't look like Sadler really has any damage, noticeable at least, on the front of his race car. And now it's Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle battling for the race lead off turn 2. Pretty wide, middle of the corner, dives really low by the exit, gets underneath Stewart. Can't keep the speed up though on the front straightaway, and drops back in line behind him again. I mean, Sadler would have had to stay out during the caution. The only 3 cars that pit were Edwards, Biffle, and Truex. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how he restarted where he did. Battle for the lead going on, though, right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to eat. I'll figure something out. Probably just throw some, like, pizza rolls in the air fryer or something. Something quick tonight. I don't have to work tomorrow, but make a salad or something. I don't know. I'll figure something out. I've got a bunch of stuff in the house. I went to Walmart yesterday after work. Stocked up on a bunch of food for the next week or so. Greg Biffle to the inside of Tony Stewart off turn 4. Oh, little contact. Down into turns 1 and 2. Biffle trying to hang in there with him. Oh, and more contact. And slides up the racetrack. Clears Tony Stewart off of turn 4. And Biffle's back in the lead as he really fought for it that time. And now blocks the inside into turn 1. And here comes Sadler trying to take over P2. About to eat pizza rolls after this. Get myself hungry. I don't want to talk about it too much. I've been talking about food the last few nights on the channel. I didn't eat right before this like I wanted to. Started Madden 06 franchise, which is why I uploaded the community tab like I did earlier, because I was looking at a bunch of stats after my first, like, 5 games. And, that's when I saw Kyle Larson. There was a guy named Kyle Larson that used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals, I guess, in 2005. I guess he played from 04 to 08. In the NFL. And he played with the Bengals in 05. Thought I'd put it in the community tab. I was like, what? Kyle Larson? Not the same guy, of course. Kind of like Jimmy Johnson, the football coach, and Jimmy Johnson, the NASCAR champion. Only the difference is that Kyle Larson spelled the same. That's a bummer you won't see your parents for Thanksgiving. Biffle overdrives turns 3 and 4 as he gets up into the wall, and Tony Stewart's going to get back to the lead, and a big chop off of Elliott Sadler in the middle of the corner as well to hang on to second. Biffle about turned himself. It's only the second Darlington stripe of the night for Greg Biffle. Both times have been on entry into turn 3. Trying to fight back underneath Tony Stewart. Stewart's going to pull him off turn 2. Kyle Busch going to be in the 8 car next year at RCR. Wonder if actual Kyle Larson would see that. I wonder if he knows. I didn't know who that guy was. I mean, there's some punters I can remember from like the mid-2000s, but that's just a position you don't usually remember a lot of guys unless like your favorite team or something. Or they were just really good. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle. Still battling for the lead. Oh, contact! They're in the wall off turn 2. Battling like it's the closing laps. A slide. And Biffle back out in front off turn 4. And Sadler's now going for second. And he's got second place. Tony Stewart got held up big time that last lap by Biffle. I don't think he appreciated that, and now he's back to third. And Sadler is in the driver's seat with Biffle in the hot seat now in this 3-car battle for the lead at Darlington. Stewart just flat out got sandwiched into the wall there by Biffle. That was like a last lap move on lap 170. Out of 293. The fact they didn't wreck when that happened too, or Biffle didn't spin off the 20 car when they made contact and up into the wall. Biffle loose off turn 4. Catches the race car all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack, and Sadler's going to get to the lead into turn 1. And I don't believe Sadler has led tonight. I think Biffle might have led that lap still. I don't know if he did or not. If he did, then Sadler's got to lead at the start-finish line this time by to get the 5 bonus points. It's going to be close because Biffle's taking a charge to the inside off turn 4, but Sadler will lead, getting the run off the exit of the corner, so Sadler will have 5 bonus points now as the points leader. And the battle continues, but now it's the 16 and the 38 instead of the 16 and the 20. Biffle loose again off turn 2. Burning those tires up. I mean, Ty's made some cup starts this year. I think, I mean, he only had like one top 10 in the starts he made. There'll be slightly better equipment. Oh, man, contact. Biffle spinning and gets into Stewart. Tony Stewart kind of caught Biffle's race car after he made contact with Sadler off turn 2. Sadler's pulling away. How did they not wreck there either? I think Biffle was going to wreck, but Tony Stewart was on the outside of the 16 when he came back up the racetrack. And because that was the case, Stewart had gotten sandwiched again, and now he's upset with Biffle. Jacob NASCAR, thanks for tuning in. And Sadler's out to over a 3-second lead. Well, this could get interesting between Stewart and Biffle as they battle again. Biffle going low underneath Stewart through 1 and 2. Side by side for second. Stewart may try to door slam Biffle. He does. Oh, no! He just clobbers the 22 of Scott Wimmer. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Wimmer's coming back across the racetrack as he missed the pits. What was that? Oh, my gosh. Biffle has to come in. He's got serious damage on his race car. Biffle's got to come into the pits. You want to talk about a way to get payback, that's the way to do it. Tony Stewart just body checked Greg Biffle off the exit of the corner, and Biffle's coming in. You can see the hood flapping on his race car. And Biffle's in. 4 tires and fuel for the 16. The fact that Scott Wimmer blew an engine and was down on the track where he was when Tony Stewart completely body slammed Greg Biffle. I mean, what are the odds of that happening? I couldn't help but laugh. Poor Scott Wimmer. Yeah, he's just trying to get to pit road and then he ends up missing the pits. Look at how torn up the front of the 16 is. No caution came out there. Biffle made sure he pitted before the yellow came out on him for debris. We're still green. A lot of damage on the 16. Hopefully still got the speed. Biffle's going to be a lap down in 19th. Far from the free pass position. He's going to need this to cycle all the way back through. He's going to get out ahead of Sadler, so he's still 1 lap down. He's got fresher tires than the rest of the field. There's another car in the pits right now. I'm not sure who. Actually, it looks like we have some green flag pit stops potentially starting anyway, so that'd be the best case scenario as we see a bunch of cars pitting. Biffle could get back into this race. We had a caution in the middle of green flag stops the last time, though. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Got to be a fight after the race. I mean, Tony Stewart just junked Greg Biffle. Biffle accidentally sandwiched him into the wall the first time. That was Biffle's fault. The second time, he made contact with Sadler, got loose, and was pretty much wrecked until he came up into Stewart, sandwiched him in the wall the second time, and then Stewart retaliates by trying to dump Biffle in the middle of 1 and 2. He pulled a... Tony Stewart basically just pulled a Tony Stewart on us and tried to wreck us on a fast track at speed. And I mean, we were sideways in the middle of the corner, and I kept it off the inside wall, but poor Scott Wimmer, who was so far out of the way of the racetrack, God bless his heart, was down on the inside. He was blowing a motor right as we came down and clobbered the back of him after Tony Stewart tried to spin us in the middle of the corner when battling for second. And now Biffle's a lap down, hoping this thing cycles through. He lost a lot of ground before that, and he's got some damage on the race car. I don't think his car is going to be the same after the damage, after running in the back of Wimmer. Emblem in the Art of Revenge, Tony Stewart edition. There should be one. How many times Tony Stewart has intentionally wrecked guys? Doesn't matter what track they're at. wrecked or tried to fight him. Even in SRX, he's still getting into it. He did with Ernie Francis, even though Ernie was trying to miss a wreck. He accidentally got into Stewart while trying to miss the wreck, and then Tony was yelling at him, grabbing him by the collar for hitting him. Didn't make any sense. Well, Biffle's got 100 laps to get back into this. It's going to be a pretty easy one-stop race from when he pitted. 2 stops, I guess, technically, from when he pitted. Dale Jarrett led that last lap, by the way. Added another one to his resume. Mark Truex Jr. going to get 5 bonus points for leading as Jarrett just pitted from the lead. Biffle back in the top 10, but not every lead lap car is pitted yet. Most of them have, but not all of them. Some lap cars coming out of the pits. Jamie McMurray. The fact that we've only had 1 caution in this crazy race is crazy in and of itself. Biffle back on the lead lap with Truex in the pits. And if Biffle cycles ahead of the 1 car, then that means he's going to be in 7th place. If not, he'll be in 8th. And trying to play catch-up here at Darlington. Biff gave Wimmer the stiff. From behind, too. Biffle is 14.5 seconds behind Elliott Sadler now after being just a few seconds off the lead. And even battling for the lead just before Stewart tried to wreck Biffle. He did cycle ahead of Truex, so he'll be in 7th place. A lot of lap cars and a lot of interval time. Biffle's about a half a track off the lead and with the damaged car. But we know Sadler's got a damaged car, too, though. He was involved in a wreck earlier. Biffle somehow kept his car from wrecking. Still got some lap cars pitting as of right now. Little over 100 laps to go. And Elliott Sadler trying to get his 2nd win of the year and extend the points lead that he has over the Roush Fenway Fords of Carl Edwards and Kurt Busch. Gordon's been pretty far back, if not a lap down, most of this race. He's 4th of points. After those pit stops, Biffle has unfortunately cycled back into 7th. Getting slowed up right before he had to pit. Severe damage. Got as much of it fixed as possible. Just trying to get going. Passing was already hard before. I'd imagine with the damage it's going to be even harder. Biffle's going to try to fight through it. The fact that he's still in the race zone looking at a good finish is pretty impressive. He's led quite a few laps today. Loose off turn 4, but not drastically loose that last time. And 1 more caution, Biffle's right back in it again. Still have 1 more field pass you have to get through in this race. Probably try to get through it here pretty soon. Greg Biffle battles Dale Jr. Contact there with Bliss. washed the zero up the racetrack just a little bit. Bliss underneath Matt Kenseth. Full now to the inside of the 17 as he follows the zero. 100 laps to go for race leader Elliott Sadler. In a breakaway all by himself. And no lap cars anywhere in front of him either. We'll take our final field pass of the race. We'll transfer back to Carl Edwards in the 99 first. As Edwards is in 6th. Next spot up ahead of Biffle. He's a few seconds ahead of him right now. Edwards with a good run off the high side. Stays in front of Ryan Newman. Battling Martin Truex Jr. Actually, Truex was in 5th place. Biffle cycled ahead of somebody else, which pushed him up to 7th. And now Edwards gets by the 1. And that was a pass, again, to get Edwards back in the top 5. Been kind of camping around like 4th to 7th most of the race. Hasn't really been in contention like Stewart, Edwards, Biffle, and even Jarrett earlier in the race. Gordon's still a lap down right now, I'd have to imagine, but Dale Jarrett in the 88 would be in 4th. Wonder who Stewart's going to try to jack up in his NHRA team. I don't know. One more caution, you say I've got the spectator that climbed to the top of the catch fence on speed dial. Call him up. Or that fan that walked out to Matt Kenseth's car at Watkins Glen. Dial that guy up. Edwards going 3 wide. A little loose down to the bottom of the track. Gordon gets by Dale Jarrett, and Edwards couldn't quite clear the 88. Got one more lap to try to get around him. Jarrett going to try to cross Jeff Gordon over through turns 1 and 2. Big run for the 99 of Carl Edwards. Can't quite get to the inside of Jarrett that time. Driving in really deep, though, into turns 3 and 4. I can't believe Edwards got it to stick that low on the track as he clears Jarrett off the exit of turn 4. Back to the 97 of Kurt Busch. He's a lap down in 11th right now. And he's going to take a dive underneath Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Newman. They're 3 wide. By the exit of the corner, Truex had the 12 clear. That pass on Newman was for 10, so Kurt Busch back in the top 10. And again, Truex is in 6th. Kurt Busch will get out in front of him. Yeah, I honestly don't really watch NHRA. I have no clue who any of the drivers are there. Except for, what is it, I'm trying to think of what the Force family? That's about all I know. I don't even know if any of them are still in it. I just know of the name, John Force. Keegan with the enforcer and so. I'll tell you what, though. We get back up to Tony Stewart. He may try to wreck us again. I don't know. Oh, jeez. Kind of scared to catch him again, to be completely honest. One more lap with Kurt Busch here. Got Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin yet to get to on our field pass. "21 likes on the stream. Matt Kenseth will be the next driver that will switch to. Right at the line. And Kenseth is in 18th, 1 lap down. That trapped the lap down with those green flag pit stops earlier in the race. Ooh, Junior brushed the wall off turn 2, earning a Darlington stripe. He hasn't already gotten one today. These are all spots for Matt Kenseth, too, as he gets by Bobby Labonte and Mike Bliss. Now trying to get by Dale Jr. for 15th. Pretty good corner there for the 17. Squeezes Dale Jr. off. Biffle not going to look to pass the 16 car of Greg Biffle, though. He knows he's in his comeback as of right now. Bobby Labonte gets by Bliss and Earnhardt through 1 and 2. I think he got by Bliss through 3 and 4 and then cleared Earnhardt by the time they got to the exit of turn 2. Gonna have one more lap with Kenseth at the line, then we'll switch to Mark Martin for 4 laps, and then back to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race. Kenseth into the wall. Darlington stripe for him. Bobby Labonte got to get by Kenseth for position as well. We'll swap to Martin. Martin on the inside of the 48. Martin also a lap down as he clears Johnson for 13th. We'll see if Joe Nemechek will be a spot in 12th. Martin gets to the inside of the 01. His future ride. Just cleared Nemechek off of turn 4 for 12th. Two more laps with Martin once we get back to the line this time. Then we'll go back to Greg Biffle the rest of the race. I think if you're Greg Biffle, you're going to have to short pit if you're going to want a chance to try to catch anybody to win this race. Try to take advantage with fresher tires quicker and hope that we don't get another caution in the middle of green flag pit stops again. Or you try to stay out longer than everybody else. I mean, he was the first to pit the last time, though, because of all the damage he had after running into the back of Wimmer when Tony Stewart pushed him down into him. So I don't even know if that's necessarily going to work out. We're trying to stay out longer, hoping caution comes out that route. Martin to the inside of Newman for 11th place. Should clear him into turn 3, and he does. Martin now to the inside of the 1 of Martin Truex Jr. Gets a bit loose, though, through turns 3 and 4. Has to hang on to it. Does. And Newman gets back by the 6. Back to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race now. So he's still in 7th. 15 seconds off the lead, though. He's only losing time to Elliott Sadler with the damage. He just doesn't have the pace. Sadler getting through his lap cars quicker than Biffle's getting through his as well. And Biffle's running out of time with just 80 laps to go. Time We'll see what Greg Biffle can do. Hope he can manage his tires a little bit better this run and have something of a chance. I was surprised there were no debris yellows after that big wreck, too. I would imagine we would have had him by now, considering that caution was almost, what, 90 laps ago? It actually stays green to the end. This will be the longest green flag run of the race of the two. One caution tonight. We had one last night and none the night before at Vegas. We're taking the night off on the video game side of things for our Throwback Thursday live stream tomorrow. We'll rewatch the 1998 Daytona 500. Biffle saved his tires maybe in the middle of this run. He's trying to get by Jimmy Johnson. Really needs to get by these cars as quickly as he can. Tried to get underneath him the last corner. Couldn't stay with him, but he did clear him off turn 2. Martin's still hanging up there with Ryan Newman and Martin Truex Jr. Greg Biffle got a clear Nemechek barely off turn 4. Past him in the first corner. He got a chance to get underneath him. I think Sadler's getting held up in lap traffic right now. Biffle's passed his last 2 lap cars pretty quickly. And Truex is the next spot in 6th. On Throwback Thursday, only watching the Cup Series, at least during the off-season while we're doing the Daytona live streams for the Daytona 500s, but we can change it up every now and then. With a low dive into turn 1. Trying to get to the inside of Ryan Newman. Martin just got back by him. Biffle with that strong corner into 3 and 4. Clears Newman. Martin gonna let his teammate go by. Biffle clears Martin off turn 4 as well. And now right behind Truex for position. There's 15 seconds off the lead. It's down to about a little less than 13 seconds off the lead as he's side by side with Truex for 6th. Almost making contact with the 1. Not quite clear as Truex side drafts on the back straightaway. This is a very difficult track for a rookie to be running as well as he is. Good run for Martin Truex Jr. today. That number 1 for DEI. Biffle up to 6th. Finally passed somebody for position. Been a little while. First car he's passed for position since the green flag pit stops during this run. So total in this race, it's going to end up being a 5-stop race. Sorry, a 4-stop race. You can react to something cool, but NASCAR's too cool. You're exactly right, Wade. Busch Charlotte race for Dave Delaney won. That's a good finish. I didn't really watch like the Busch series a whole lot growing up. Same with the trucks. I probably watched the trucks more than the Busch series, honestly. They were usually more often at night than the Xfinity back then, at that time. Is that 2005, the one that Dave Blaney won? Fall race, I think. And it was when NBC was still in NASCAR at the time in the 2000s. Have I ever attended an ARCA race? A couple of them. I went to Bristol during the weekend of the night race last year. I went to Daytona during Speed Weeks this year, before the Xfinity race. And then I saw the very end of it would have been the 2021 Talladega race. But I only saw, like, literally the green, white, checkered finish. Only part of it I saw by the time I got in through the gates. I need to go up to Toledo Speedway and watch them race, but I went to Talladega earlier this year, and I think the race in 2020 got moved to a weekend that I couldn't go. I don't know what happened in 2021. They usually run on a Sunday afternoon, though. That's the problem. When they race at Toledo, and I'm going to stay at home, give you guys the coverage of the Cup race. I'm not going to miss it to go to an ARCA race. I'll figure it out one of these times, though. Biffle's slowly, and I mean slowly, closing in on Elliott Sadler. I don't know if it's a pace that's going to be quick enough for him to actually get there by the end, but he's definitely going to need lap traffic to get in Sadler's way. There's nobody there that's going to really battle him for position. Went to an ARCA race at Memphis. Oh, that's interesting. Want a refund? The racing product was awful when Ty Gibbs won. I didn't even know they still raced at Memphis. I didn't even know Memphis was still up and running, honestly. Thought it was an abandoned racetrack for all I knew. I live about a half hour from Toledo. Southeast, roughly. They hosted a championship there at Toledo the last couple years. Well, at least this year they did, and I know they're supposed to next year because I saw they came out with the ARCA schedule already. And I believe I see Dale Jarrett just up ahead. It also looks like Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon are battling for the spot up there, and actually might not be Kurt Busch, might be... Oh, it is Kurt Busch, and he's pitting. Never mind. Yeah, that window's open to the end of the race. We're down to 62 laps to go at the line. So 62 laps remain. Kurt Busch was a lap down. It was the first car to hit pit road. One less car Biff will have to pass when he gets up here. That's nice. Memphis has seen better days. This is true. Both the city, from what I've heard, as well as the racetrack. Sorry if you're from Memphis. I've never been to Memphis, so I can't say for that myself. I mean, people say Detroit's garbage too, but being up to Detroit as many times as I have and go there for like sporting events, that area is really nice. Especially where the new Little Caesars Arena is, where the Red Wings and the Pistons play. That whole area is really nice. Leffler cycling out of the pits right in front of Dale Jarrett. Cost that 88 a little bit more time. Biffle 12 seconds behind Elliott Sadler on the racetrack. Only attended one truck race. Nazareth 98, that's pretty cool. Greg Biffle sandwiches Jeff Gordon into the wall. He was really pushing hard. Really pushed hard trying to get by both Jason Leffler and Jeff Gordon there. Sadler seemed to have got caught up with lap cars as well, though, because Biffle was still closing. Squeezes under the 143. Biffle's definitely getting aggressive now. He's got to make sure not to push overly hard. Checkered the front tires just a bit getting into turns 1 and 2. And Dale Jarrett is a car that he has had problems passing all day today. And we'll see if he's going to be able to actually get by Dale Jarrett this time around. It may get tough. Biffle's trying to get by him, but he just can't do it. Gotta be hoping for a very quick pit stop, though, if you're Greg Biffle. We'll see if he gets it. 11.1 seconds off the lead. Jarrett to the inside of John Andretti pretty quickly. Greg Biffle just going to have to follow the 88 to get by the 14. Well, contact with Andretti. Couple cars into the pits. I think I saw Kevin Harvick and another car just made their way in. Greg Biffle, Dale Jarrett continue to stay on the racetrack. Greg Biffle a little less than 11 seconds off the lead. He's closed in over 4 seconds over the last 30 laps, but that's still not a pace quick enough to catch Elliott Sadler, unfortunately. Contact with Dale Jarrett off turn 4. Jarrett up into the outside walls. Biffle drives on. Well, that slowed him down because now he's 11.1 seconds off the lead again. Biffle's going to have to pit for fuel very soon. $50 laps to go at Darlington. A race that has only had one caution so far today. Yeah, I've heard great things about the World of Outlaws game. I was asking somebody at work earlier today about it. I definitely plan on doing something with it for the channel this offseason. Likely won't be live stream though. Elliott Sadler is on his way into the pits. Greg Biffle going to stay on the track a lap longer. He'll lead that lap at the line to make it another lead change. Right rear tire in the yellow on the tire wear indicator right now for Biffle. And Biffle will be coming in this time by. Going to try to get all he can coming into the pits. Slides. Has to make sure he doesn't miss the pits. And Biffle's in. 4 tires and fuel. Gonna make a major adjustment here. Gonna bump up the air pressure just a little bit. And then also gonna take a half round of wedge out of the race car. So really gonna try to loosen this 16 car up. Final stop of the day. Short pit and take no tires. You know, in the back of my head, I was kind of thinking it, but then our tires are already in the yellow, and it's going to be another slow stop for the 16 team, and that is the second time the right front tire has started to roll away from the car. That's 2 mistakes on the right side, I should say the front side tire carrier. Dale Jarrett's still on the track, hasn't pit yet. Jarrett's staying out as long as he can, hoping for a caution at this point. He hasn't led in a while. He's leading now. I believe, well, Biffle back into 6. I would think he's going to cycle ahead of Jarrett because he was in front of him before he pit, and he pitted at least 2 laps before, and Jarrett's on his way in right now. So 2 mistakes for Greg Biffle on pit road. Not really his fault. It was both on the front tire carrier both times. Looked tired. Probably looked defeated. And a little tired. It's long days when I'm working and streaming later at night. Should have not taken tires. I mean, I would have gained time, but I would have lost time over the long run anyway. So Biffle, because of that lengthy stop, is now 15.8 seconds off the lead again, unfortunately. He was 11.2 seconds off the lead when he pitted, and that was a slow stop. And agonizing at that. I mean, even Dale Jarrett cycled back in front of Biffle. Biffle was in 5th. Now he's back in 6th again. He's got 42 laps to hope for a yellow. Try to get Mark Martin to help Greg Biffle as much as possible with him being a lap down. Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch also a lap down. We'll try to get them to help. Just trying to slow the field down as much as possible and get Biffle as many positions as possible with it. I think Kurt Busch is also a lap down. Well, he's not going to block, but he'll follow. Really loose off turn 2. Press X for doubt I need to hear that for myself. No toilet paper, just gas. Just smack the wall off turn 2. It's the first time he's hit the wall at turns 1 and 2 all day. Darlington stripe number 3 for Greg Biffle. Could have had more. I've slammed into other cars and pinched them into the wall at times today, but only the third time Biffle's hit the wall all day for 256 out of 293 laps at Darlington. Kurt Busch got a block now. Before he didn't want to, he will now though. Carl Edwards is on the lead lap. Didn't want to block for me that time, but 2 seconds later, he was fine with it. Kurt Busch at least waited a couple laps. Desperate times kind of call for desperate measures right now. We know Edwards is in the top 5. Yeah, I'd like to go to IndyCar in Detroit. It's just tough when it's going on at the same time as the NASCAR race. Like, I missed out on the Road America stream last year. I had to kind of listen/watch the race on my way home. I went to the Mid-Ohio IndyCar race, so I probably won't be going there for that this year. I was thinking I could get back, at least during it at some point. I didn't even get... I was like 10 minutes out from the house when the race ended. We got to get by Scott Riggs. Dale Jarrett and Martin Truex Jr. both just up ahead. This could get Greg Biffle back into 4th. Actually, it might be Terry Labonte, not Martin Truex Jr. with the red rear bumper up here. There's Kyle Petty, but I think Labonte's a few cars further up ahead. I think it was him at first. Jeff Gordon's also up in the mix up here. On the inside of Terry Labonte. Jeff Gordon kind of stuck behind the 49 of Kenny Schrader. At the most, Greg Biffle is 15.8 seconds off the race lead. He is now about 13.7 seconds back. He gained 2 seconds in about 10 laps. So I'd say the adjustments are definitely working on the 16 car, but unfortunately, it's going to be too little too late, it appears. Now he sits behind the 88 of Dale Jarrett. Trying to race him cleanly so he could at least make it a little bit quicker. Biffle looking low underneath Jarrett. Way low, down into turns 1 and 2. And he's going to be cleared. So Biffle up to 5th as he clears Dale Jarrett for a spot. These aren't really dropping back to follow me like I want them to. There we go. Could be an easy pass, it appears, for Biffle as he clears Kurt Busch. Kurt gonna let his teammate go. There's the 99 of Carl Edwards. That'll be a pass for 4th once Biffle gets around him. Biffle quickly catching. Edwards and Wallace. 3 wide. Oh man, Edwards brushed the wall, it looked like, off of turn 2, and now Rusty Wallace is blowing an engine. Biffle trying to get out of harm's way as Rusty Wallace is coming into the pits. Oh, and he couldn't make it. It almost gets into Biffle off turn 4. He came up the track, and Biffle did a great job keeping it off of him. And now, oh, there's contact, and Rusty's around as he has crashed, and the caution's out. Oh, man. Caution is out. Rusty Wallace about wrecked the corner before that, and then he ends up pile driving, and there's a big stack up behind him as he takes out 3 of the Roush Fenway Fords in turns 1 and 2 after he missed the pits and about wiped Biffle out the corner before that. And with Biffle involved in the accident, he's now going to have to restart the tail end of the lead lap. He'll have to repair more damage to the race car. And that is a tough break for the 16. It's good that the caution came out, but he's going to have to get a lot more than just 4 spots on the restart now. And this is just our 2nd caution of the race today. And with the adjustments to make the 16 car a little bit looser also, that probably going to loosen him up quite a bit, because that was a moment for sure. Did a great job staying high, noticing the 2 was still there the corner before he actually caused the caution. Good thing there's not too many cars on the lead lap. Biffle's going to have to still get spots back. And it looked like somebody on the outside spun their tires on the restart. Biffle had to check up to keep it off the 1. But in doing so, at least he was able to get to the bottom pretty quickly. And we'll see if we get any more cautions before the end of this race. We've had just 2 all day in a sprint to the end. 20 laps to go in the Darlington 400. Biffle finally clears Newman on the restart, who is again a lap down, as is many other cars. Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson almost make contact off turn 4 as they are up to speed. Sadler quickly gets out in front of the lap cars. He had a great restart. He's definitely been the one to beat here late. A lot of double wide out in front of Biffle. Got by the lap car of Marlin. Biffle looking low, down towards turn 1, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Kind of blocked him off on the front stretch, and the 16 couldn't make it 3. He's willing to try at this point. This car is really loose after Rusty Wallace blew an engine and then made contact. And Wallace was in the top 10 pretty much all day. Only 8 cars on the lead lap now with whoever got the free pass during the yellow. Sure isn't a sim game. Car was destroyed a long time ago. Are you talking about mine? I mean, even Elliott Sadler wrecked earlier, though. Big slide by Biffle as he gets underneath Dale Jr. Will contact with a couple cars. I believe Edwards and Jarrett got together off turn 4. Biffle still in 7th after the restart, though. 4 laps in, no positions gained. Not get through the lap cars as quickly as some of the other drivers. He had more to pass because of restarting further back than when he was when the caution came out. He's still on equal tires as the rest of the field. This is fast if he can hang on to it. He's definitely loose with the setup change. Looks like Tony Stewart's up there at second. Both Johnson and Gordon still a lap down. Biffle got to get by both of them that last lap. I believe Kurt Busch would be the only other lap car up here, and then the other 5 cars that are not Kurt Busch that are ahead of Biffle are all for position. So late race restart after Rusty Wallace blew an engine, causing a caution, pulling up in front of the field. Stacked everybody back up. We've got a race to the finish, and Sadler, who had a big lead prior to the yellow coming out, the big lead has vanished. Greg Biffle got to get by Kurt Busch. Used Kurt as a pick to get by Dale Jarrett for 6th as well. Biffle trying to get by his teammate Carl Edwards now for 5th place. Truex in 4th. Great run for the rookie. Harvick, who hasn't led a lap all day, is up in 3rd. Truex led some laps under green flag conditions earlier during green flag pit stops. Biffle and Edwards still side by side into 3. And Biffle will clear the 99 for 5th place off turn 4. Running out of laps though, just 12 to go. I forgot about the trivia, I'm sorry. Too late now. I was hoping somebody was going to remind me earlier. I forgot myself. I didn't have a question. I was going to have to pause and look it up. We had that break earlier when I had to have that software update. Red Wolf 1, thanks for tuning in. Truex going for 3rd underneath Kevin Harvick. Biffle's going to take him 3. Oh my gosh. Couldn't quite get underneath. Everybody lacking for grip. End of a tire stint nearly. And just 10 laps to go. With the win on the line, Truex is up to 3rd. He's trying to get his first career win. Biffle to 4th as he followed the one by the 29. Tony Stewart already tried to wreck Greg Biffle earlier, which cost him Biffle all the track position. That's why he hasn't fought for the lead in a while. It is absolutely go time though right now. Biffle to the inside of Truex for 3rd place through 3 and 4. 9 to go at the line. Biffle barely clears Truex with a clean pass. This is not going to be fun trying to pass Tony Stewart. He already practically wrecked Biffle earlier, but Biffle was able to save it, lost a lot of ground. Sadler trying to block Stewart right now into turns 3 and 4. Biffle slides up the racetrack just a little bit, overdrive in the corner. 8 laps to go, and this is the finish of the Darlington 400. Seen a lot of great finishes at Darlington, both the recent years, years past, on the similar time frame to what we're seeing here tonight. Tony Stewart got a good run off turn 2. Can he get underneath the 38? Biffle overdrives the corner, almost into the wall on the outside. And down to block Truex in the center. Again, Stewart trying to get around Sadler, looking really low. Sadler almost got in the wall off turn 2. Anybody could really win this at this point. You never know what could happen. Biffle looking low. Off turn 4 again, can't get to the inside of Stewart. He gets there, Tony's going to race him very harshly. I know with the points on the line that we know Tony's going to go for it. He might get to the inside of Sadler for the lead. And he will. Side by side for the race lead. Biffle's going to take him 3 wide. And Stewart tries to wreck Biffle. Biffle hangs on to it on the bottom of the racetrack. Tony Stewart comes back up into traffic as he holds on to 5th. And Sadler holds on to the lead. Looks like somebody got the wall off turn 2 back there because there was some smoke. Had nothing to do with what happened at the front. Tony Stewart tried to wreck Biffle again. Biffle held on to it. Truex is back to 3rd. All over the back of the 16. And the 16 has to regroup to catch Sadler. Greg Biffle trying to go for 3 wins in a row. And the points leader, Elliott Sadler, trying to go for his 2nd win of the season. And what has been an immaculate year for that Robert Yates Racing Ford so far. Does Biffle have enough time to get there? And Truex is keeping up right now with Greg Biffle too. Truex trying to get his first career win. Biffle really loose off turn 2 that time. Had to burp the throttle a little bit, which definitely hurts the corner exit speed. Sadler's probably managed his tires well when he had that big lead during the run. Nobody pitted for tires and all kept their track position at the front of the field during that last caution. Greg Biffle is right there on Elliott Sadler. These two battled for the win at Devil's Canyon. Biffle, the great run off turn 2. He didn't get his loose that time. It's been tough to pass all day, and Sadler's going to make this thing wide. And we're going to be coming to the white flag. Off of turn 4, Biffle going low. Sadler with a block. Front straightaway. Truex following a bit behind, but not out of it. Can Biffle make the last lap pass for the win at Darlington? Looking low to the inside of Elliott Sadler. Side by side through turns 1 and 2. Off the exit of the corner. Biffle going for it. There's contact. Back straightaway. There's more contact. Up into the outside wall they both go. Biffle rides across the 38. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. off the exit of the corner. Biffle's got the lead off turn 4. And he's going to win at Darlington. Sent it in the final corner to get the victory. 3 wins in a row for Greg Biffle. Couldn't have really roughed Elliott Sadler up any more than he did. Truex almost stole it. I think he ended up 2nd. Thank you, Rusty Wallace, for trashing the field after he blew an engine. We're giving Greg Biffle a shot at the win. I was not losing this race, darn it. The refuse to lose. And Biffle picks up his 9th win of the season. That was just rude. Oh, man. What was rude is Tony Stewart put us back out of the race. I was willing to come back and win if I had a shot. It sucks it had to be Sadler. I wish it would have been more Tony Stewart. It would have been equal payback. Sadler's probably upset, rightfully so. But the fact that I never had a shot at the lead ever since Stewart basically trashed us like middle of the race. We led 68 laps early. I think Sadler led the most with 112. He did. And he did not need that late race caution because he had every bit of a 3 to 5 second lead, if not more. Greg Biffle has won at Darlington. Started 6-1, led 68 laps, what a topsy-turvy day. He was up towards the front pretty much the first 2/3, and then Stewart tried to wreck him. Look at what Tony Stewart did earlier. This is why we fell so far back. They keep showing this over and over. This was the finish. Biffle blocking Truex across the line after getting into... Stewart ran all the way below the apron and slammed us into Wimmer, who was blowing smoke. He had blew an engine, was down on the bottom of the racetrack, and we happened to hit him like at the... I mean, with the odds of him blowing an engine being where he was, trying to nurse it to pit road, and Stewart just slamming us right into him, that was all the damage to the front of the 16. He had to pit a little earlier than the rest of the field at the time. They cycled back through on a couple occasions, and then we ended up getting a caution with 20 to go, which gave Biffle a chance to win the race. And he was committed that when he got back up there, he was going to win this thing, and had just enough time to get the Sadler after Stewart tried to wreck him a second time with about 4 laps to go, but Biffle held on to it. Refused to lose. I don't know that I would have done that to Sadler to try to win the race if Tony Stewart wouldn't have done that to me earlier, because Sadler didn't do anything wrong there. Dang it, I wanted back in contention. And that was the reason Sadler probably led the most laps in the race, too. I didn't think he led as many laps as he actually ended up doing, but a lot of those were led after Biffle and Stewart fell way back. Mainly Biffle. I mean, Stewart held on to second. 2 trivias in the next stream. I'll try to remember that for Friday. So, anyway, 68 laps led. Martin Truex Jr., best career finish, ends up second. He led 2 laps during green flag pit stops earlier. And also was involved in a wreck with Jamie McMurray. Sadler was in that same wreck. So, literally, the top 3 all had some sort of issues today. And they all recovered. Led laps and finished 1, 2, 3. Kevin Harvick ends up 4th with no laps led. Tony Stewart led 54 laps, finishes 5th. I'm sure he'll probably be a rival in races going forward. Carl Edwards ends up finishing in 6th place. Dale Jarrett started on the pole, led 57 laps, finished in 7th. Jeff Gordon finished 8th. Quiet day, finished first car lap down, so only 7 cars finished on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson ended up right behind him in 9th, and Kurt Busch rounds out the top 10. Matt Kenseth finished 11th. Mark Martin 14th. That was all the Roush Fenway Fords. And we'll see who all DNF'd, which we didn't have many DNFs, actually. Looked like we know Rusty Wallace crashed out there. Scott Wimmer, obviously, he ended up blowing an engine. Lap 172 was about when Stewart had pile driven us into the back of Wimmer. Wimmer was already blowing up before that. Again, I'm surprised that didn't cause a caution. Michael Waltrip blew an engine early on. I was wondering because I never saw him like the whole race for some reason, not even in lap traffic. That's why. Jeff Burton we saw blew an engine back at lap 16. So 4 cars DNF today. Margin of victory, 10th of a second. 2 hours, 31 minutes total time on the race today. Just 2 cautions for 6 caution laps. 17 lead changes. Under 58.27 miles per hour is the average race speed. Time to look at the point standings. And time to look at Greg Biffle in victory lane for the 9th time this season as well. After winning the Darlington 400. And there you see it. That could be a championship-winning move at the end of the season if it's a narrow points win over Elliott Sadler, or really anybody for that matter, because we pulled it off. Next race, Dodge Raceway for the Cup Series. A little 3rd mile short track, 400 lapper. That'll be coming your way next week on the channel. Either next week or later this week. I can't remember. It might be on Friday. I can't remember what race we're doing on Friday. It might be that one. I know tomorrow night's stream, you definitely want to tune in. Our Throwback Thursday live streams, which will become a weekly tradition on the channel going forward as we started last weekend's journey, rewatching the 2006 Daytona 500. We'll be watching some old Daytona 500s every single week leading up to the start of the 2023 NASCAR season. So be on the lookout for those every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tomorrow night, we will be watching the 1998 Daytona 500. So very, very cool one at that. You guys voted for it in the community tab on the polls this week, and that won by a landslide. So 98 is what we will be watching for tomorrow. Everybody's talking about fights. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle. Biffle won the fight tonight. Greg Biffle, 56 points, still out of first despite 9 wins on the season. He does have 4 DNFs, 3 because of engine failures, though, and then 1 crash at Charlotte, the 600. He's only 4 points, though, behind Kurt Busch for third. Elliott Sadler still hangs on to the points lead despite losing the race late. He did lead the most laps for 10 bonus points and finished third. Jeff Gordon falls back to 5th despite a top 10. I mean, all the top 6 in points all finished in the top 10 today. So, and make that the top 7 in points all finished top 10. So, then Stewart obviously finished top 10. He was 9th in points coming in, still is 9th. But yeah, tight battle right now. Top 6 within 128 points. And we'll keep it rolling into the next race. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Yeah, it'll be a fun one tomorrow night. Be sure to tune in. You won't want to miss it. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll come back with the NASCAR 06 action again this weekend. See you guys. See you guys. See you guys. Have a good rest of your Wednesday evening.